Good morning, everyone. We'll get started in just a minute. We'll wait till 9 o'clock exactly. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Hi, guys. I am going to leave it in this presentation mode simply because I want to be able to follow your comments. And on my system, I can't if I'm in a slideshow. So we will go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Small Business Orientation for the SBDC, which stands for Small Business Development Center, if you did not know that. My name is Karen Linthicum. I am a project analyst for the Maricopa chapter of the SBDC. There is my contact information. You already have that information if you are in this class because I emailed you that. Hold on to my email in case you ever have any problems. I have over 11 years of consumer and commercial banking and mortgage experience. And prior to that, I was a business owner of one of the top salons and spas in the country for 15 years. And I am dedicated to helping businesses grow. I served as the president and vice president of the downtown or Main Street Business Association, which helped advocate on the state and federal level for small businesses. So we're going to cover basically what the SBDC does, how to fill out the paperwork that I sent you this morning. If you did not receive it, please reach out to me right after this and I will send it. Please know that after 12 o'clock today, I'll be on vacation until Tuesday if you need anything. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's talk about what the SBDC does. We do offer free one-on-one, no-fee counseling services to businesses. That can include technical assistance with business planning. We have a great app that will enable you to input a business plan that you can print off and present to any bank, any investor. That just looks amazing, and we help walk you through that process. We help with access to capital. Now, we do not loan money here, but we can help you get the best possible outcomes if you go to a bank for lending. We help with financial review. We can look at your projections, tell when you're going to start being profitable, items like that. We can help with sales and marketing strategy and a lot more. The specialty areas that we have 2 exporting professionals that work out of our office, and we have a technology commercialization expert. Now, what this is if you have a new technological advancement, then he can help you get that on the market and help with investors. We offer no cost and low cost training programs. Please check our website for those. It is maricopa-sbdc.com. And under training, you'll see our calendar of events. We also offer access to tools and resources. Like I said, we have a program called Live Plan. We also have a couple other programs that can tell you what the demographic is in your area, how many other businesses do what you intend to do. And we can help you prepare for government contracting opportunities. I don't know if Kevin is on board. Kevin, if you're here, if you would like to, okay. So Kevin has been off camera for some reason. Kevin, I have allowed you to talk.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Kevin Herman. I'm from the Arizona Apex Accelerator office here. Um, Really excited to see people in this webinar today. It's always exciting to see people either start businesses or explore that process. And in addition to that, you may have come across the term of government contracting as a possible avenue for your business. So that's another exciting avenue to explore. And that is what our office assists with at Arizona Apex Accelerator. So one important caveat to that, though, is while it may be something that's exciting to explore, if you're kind of brand new or just getting started in the business world, it isn't something I would put at the forefront of your mind. In a way, it's kind of like saying, you know what, I'm going to go start that gym membership, and tomorrow I'm going to look into competing in the Olympics. That's kind of the comparison I would make there. So make government contracting something to kind of explore down the road, but it's not something you want to try to put at the forefront of starting a new business operation or getting started in the business world, because it is a heavy regulated and very competitive environment. And you wouldn't want that to be too daunting to stunting maybe your progress or growth just in building a company as it is. So that's kind of an important disclaimer I mentioned to anyone who's interested in government contracting. You want to make sure that your business is fully operational and ready to pursue such a competitive and heavy regulated market before trying to dive into that head first, thinking it might be the launch pad for your business, where it's not necessarily that. It's much better to be an add-on to your already functioning business. So that's kind of my quick disclaimer about government contracting. So any businesses that do become fully operational and are ready to dive into that, definitely move on to speaking with us at Arizona Apex Accelerator next, and maybe we'll be talking to you in the future.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Kevin. I appreciate you.
You're welcome.
All right. So next we will go to what we can't do for you. And I do want to say that if you have any questions, I've disabled the Q&A, but chat is enabled. So feel free to put your questions there. I will get them answered at the end of the presentation. So let's talk about what we don't do. We can't take control of your idea and put in the work. So we do have people who reach out to us occasionally and want to ask what kind of business should they open? What are they going to be good at? How will they be successful? What business would they be successful in? If you are at that stage, then I highly suggest that you reach out. There are organizations, Maricopa Community College is one of those, where they have career centers that you can take tests and they will help you determine what you might enjoy and what you'd be good at. This organization is specifically for people who have an idea and who understand the kind of business that they want to open. The other thing that I want to stress is if you are opening a restaurant, the SBDC will not teach you how to cook. What we will teach you how to do is the business aspects of your business, how to keep your books. We can offer information on that. Maybe some marketing information, items like that, maybe where you should open your business, but we cannot tell you how to do the basics of the kind of business that you want to open. So if you are in marketing, you want to open a marketing business, we are not here to teach you how to market. We are here to teach you the other aspects of the business. So if you don't know how to do something, or you're unwilling to do something, you have to probably hire a professional to do those things. We also cannot give legal advice. So people do reach out to us to maybe look over contracts, things like that. We are not lawyers, and we cannot offer tax advice with one caveat. We can help you with sales tax. So if you need a sales tax license, we can help navigate those waters. But we cannot tell you what type of organization you should start, like if you should have an LLC or an S Corp or C Corp. For tax purposes, we cannot help you with that. The other thing is we cannot write your business plan for you. And what I mean by that is that this business is your baby. And so if you are struggling to determine what your business plan is, at all. Like, we expect you to have questions, and we will help you flesh out your business plan. But again, if you don't really know what kind of business that you want to do, then you're going to have to determine that before we can really get into the nuts and bolts of helping you build your business. So let's talk about the why factor. Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to open your own business? We have a lot of people that will come in, and maybe they've just had a bad month at work. Maybe they're mad at their boss and they want to just work for themselves. They think that being in control of what they do will be a much better situation. And sometimes it is. Maybe you just want to follow your passion. Maybe it's something that you're working your 9-to-5 job. Maybe art is something you've always wanted to do, and you want to create art and sell it. You want to improve society, which is always noble. And you think you have found a way to do it. And then maybe you just want to create something, and there's a lot of satisfaction in growing a business. It's like raising a child, and we'll kind of get to that in a minute. But you do have to have the proper expectations. So if you want to support yourself and your family, you have to determine what that number looks like. How much do you need to replace the income that you're currently making? And we highly suggest that you don't make the mistake of just quitting your job and opening a business. Sometimes it's a lot better to kind of ease into that and do both. And it's a lot of work, obviously, but at the point where you're doing both and you're making more at your business and you are at the job that you currently have, then maybe it's time to go ahead and make that transition. Maybe just want a side hustle. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. If you want to do a part-time boutique, at the farmer's market, or you maybe sell salsa and you want to just take it, and present your wares to the farmer's market, or maybe sell in certain stores and still keep your day job, there's nothing wrong with that. And maybe you want to grow it into a large multinational company. I think everyone has that idea going in. But it's rare that you get to that point, but I'm not saying it's not attainable, because every single business that you see out there, every single one started as a small business. Now, it may have started 100 years ago as a small business and then merged with other companies, but every single one. At this point in the presentation, I generally tell you to check out the History Channel, because there is a great show called the blank that built America. So you can insert whatever you want. They have the toys that built America, and they have the food that built America, and they will cover how those companies got started, the challenges that they faced as they were trying to produce their product and market it. And then they will usually compare it to a competitor at the time, and they'll show how the two companies were run differently, and how sometimes they just came up with this brilliant idea when they were really at their lowest point. So it's very inspiring, honestly, for new business owners. If you can watch a couple of those episodes. My favorite is the Pizza Wars between Pizza Hut and Domino's. So, like I said, just check those out. You can learn. And as a business owner, you will have to learn from other businesses besides yours. So try to get that knowledge anywhere you can. So I sent out several documents to you today, and we'll cover all of those during the course of this presentation. The document that says, do you have what it takes? That is for your personal viewing. So please know that we don't need this back, okay? And I want you to be as honest as you possibly can be on this, because everyone always fills this out when I have gotten to see them and put what you think that we want to hear. And that is not what this document is about. What this document is about is to show you maybe where some of your weak points might be, and know going in that you may have to maybe take some education, maybe take some leadership courses, work on your personal development in those areas so that you can strengthen your leadership capabilities. And also, if you can't or won't do that, then maybe that's the type of person that you have to hire to help you run your business. So some of the questions that you should ask yourself is, are you a self-starter? And that kind of goes to, energy levels. Are you going to wake up every morning and do whatever it takes to make your business a success? Are you going to realize that maybe you don't know about a certain topic and you feel like you need to learn that? Are you going to just basically throw up your hands and say, well, I just don't understand that? Or are you going to reach out and get the education that you need through various sources? Do you genuinely like others? And this is a really big one. And this kind of goes along with the do other people trust you? Is that if you are providing a service or a product, your end goal is to make the clients happy. And so if you do not have that servant's attitude going into your business, you're probably not going to be as successful. Maybe the product will sell itself, but at some point you are going to run into a situation where you're going to have an unhappy client, or somebody is not going to do business with you because you put off that vibe that you just don't care if they buy their product or not. So again, if you don't genuinely like serving other people, then hire somebody who does. Can you lead others? This is a big one if you intend to grow your business beyond just what you do, just you doing your providing the service. So when you hire other people, you have to be able to put your vision into a picture for them, because it's not their vision. So you have to be able to communicate your vision, and you have to give them ways that they can help you meet that. And so you also have to pick the right people, because some people really don't want to see the vision. And most people are honestly just in it for a paycheck. So you have to be able to inspire that within the people that you hire. And can you handle responsibility, and are you decisive? Also go together. You are the top dog in your business. And so if something happens, let's say you create a product and it hurts people, then you will have to take responsibility for that. And that could have long-term effects on you and your business. The responsibility also happens when when you have to make a decision about which direction your business goes, and you can't sit there lost in indecisiveness. You have to be able to say, okay, this is the direction we're going to go, and we're going to make it work. You have to be organized. You have to know what you need to do, and you have to be able to organize it in a time frame that you can get it done. I will tell a personal story. When we first opened our business, I was the management portion of our business, and I really did not realize that sales tax and your employee tax, your payroll taxes were a deadline. I didn't realize I had a deadline. And so I paid them a day late, and we got hit with a big enough fine that it wiped out our entire savings account. The first thing we did after that was we hired somebody to take over those things, so that I was no longer in charge, but I did learn my lesson. Are you in it for the long haul? This is a big thing. It kind of tells you how much energy you want to put into this. If this is something you're going to try and be like, yeah, it doesn't work out, then obviously don't put a whole lot of time and effort into it. If you feel that way, if you feel like this is something that you really, really want to do, then that's when you start putting your time, energy, and money into it. And are you easily stressed? This is a big one. Because I will say that there is nothing more stressful than owning your own business. You think working for someone else is stressful, even if you don't like your job. nothing like owning your own business. So a friend of mine used to own 4 franchises of Jimmy John's, and she was telling me how her husband used to sleep in the store some nights, and that she was working a full-time job, and the kids never saw him. And so it really affects pretty much every aspect of your life. They were so happy when they sold those franchises, even though they were making money. And actually went to work for someone else. Now, I'm not trying to talk you into staying at your job. I'm just trying to let you know what actually goes into opening your own business. So next, like I said, I want to talk to you about how growing your business is like being a parent. You put in a lot of work for sometimes very minimal rewards. You may not see those rewards for months or years. You're unsure of the outcome. So you may put all your time, energy, and money into a business. You have no idea if it's going to be successful or not. It's always there. Your kids are always there. Your business is always there. You can't give it back at the end of the day. So maybe you put in a 10-hour day and then you get home and then all of a sudden there's an emergency at 8 o'clock at night. You can't just say, hey, I'm not going to take care of this sometimes. And so, it's always there and you're always thinking about it. Businesses are expensive. If you take, and we'll talk about the startup cost worksheet later, but you can basically guarantee that you take those expenses and you can almost double them. It's almost a guarantee. And the life cycle is the same. And so, when your business is in its infancy, it takes constant care and nurturing. You can't leave it alone really for a minute. You're always thinking about it. You're always tweaking it. You're always making changes. When it's a toddler, it's prone to fits. It infuriates and inspires love. But maybe you'll have a couple great weeks and you're like, okay, I have turned that corner. And then all of a sudden it goes kaboom and, nobody's walking in the door or something happens or there's an expense you didn't expect. Preteen, teen, you think you can relax, but you'd be wrong. If you are successful, and I'm going to say this, I cannot stress this enough. If you're successful at your business, especially if it's an unusual business, like let's say you're you're an innovator and you have come up with a business like no one else has done, I guarantee other people are paying attention and I guarantee somebody's coming for you. So you need to never relax, really. You need to be constantly changing your business or making it better so that you can stay on top. And then you get to the adult phase and then it stops growing. I mean, this is the life cycle of the business. And so, once you start, you kind of go up and then all of a sudden you go down. Now, what are you going to do? What kind of changes are you going to make? Or are you going to branch out into other products, other services? Are you going to become a different company because of that? Are you going to sell to another company? And then maybe start something else. That happens all the time. Once you get into that entrepreneurial mindset, I know so many entrepreneurs have done one and they sell it or they close it and they go on to open another one. It's almost like an addiction. So, what are you going to do once you get it to that point? And it's always a good idea to start thinking about it at the beginning. So we're going to go over, this is your 1-page business plan. Now, by no means do we think that this is the be all end all of business plans. This is not enough for you to take to a bank, but it is enough for you to get started with your counselor so that you guys can know where your weaknesses are. So this is one of the documents you will return to your counselor. We'll talk about those a little bit later again. But we're going to go over the steps to the business plan. So why do you think you need a business plan? Well, you have to decide what you're going to build. These are 2 dramatically different pieces of architecture. And they're both amazing, right? So what's it going to look like? Do you have the Eiffel Tower, which took a ton of steel, It took welders, it took people who are not afraid of heights. I believe there's a radio tower in there. It took a specific kind of architect to design this building. And so, you have to gather those resources, and you have to know what resources to gather before you start your business, versus the Taj Mahal, which took miners to mine the marble. It took people to cut the marble. It took artisans to carve it. It took, obviously, someone who knew about fountains and how to keep water in fountains and landscaping. So it took all of those things. And so you have to decide what you're going to build. You will not go and say, I want to build a house. I'm going to buy this land and I'm going to go to Home Depot and order $100,000 worth of lumber and just walk in and say, I need $100,000 of lumber, please. Here's my card. You have to tell them how many windows, how many doors, how much drywall is going to go into it. You have to know where everything is going to go before you get to that point. So this is what your business plan is like. It is like a blueprint for your business. Now, when I say this, the business plan should not be limiting. So you shouldn't do your business plan and then say, oh, I think I should go this way, but it's not my business plan, so we're not going to do it. You can always change your business plan. It's a living document, right? So, you should tweak it. Every year. You should have a review of it and say what's working, what's not working. And then, adapt and pivot if you have to. But like I said, it's a living document. But this one, fill this out. The items that you can't answer in that one-page business plan are what you need to talk to your business counselor first. So you have to determine what your product or service is. Have you clearly defined it? Do you know that you want to open a restaurant that serves XYZ kind of food? Are you going to be an accountant? If you're going to be an accountant, what kind of client are you going to serve? Are you going to serve corporations? Or are you going to serve the general public? Do you have experience providing the product or service? Now, I would highly suggest, if you do not have experience doing whatever it is you intend to do in your business, then you go out and you get that experience. Because number one, you may get into it and realize you don't really like it. There's a lot more to it than you thought. But it also kind of speaks to your capability statement when you're talking to someone and you're saying, I have been in the restaurant industry for 10 years and I decided to open my own location. That goes a lot longer than, hey, my family told me I could cook well. And so I'm, throwing $30,000 at it, or, whatever that looks like. And I will say that banks and investors will be much more likely to loan to you if you do have experience in that industry. Is your product or service needed, or is the market oversaturated? So a lot of people have great inventions, and they think that it's going to be a game changer, but they haven't done the research to find out that those items or those services or that what they consider innovative, an innovative product already exist in someone else's toolbox. So you have to determine, if it is needed, if other people are already spending money on it, is it a brand new product? If you have come up with something revolutionary, then why haven't other people done it? And you have to start doing the research on that. Maybe there's no market for it. Maybe it's cost prohibitive. Maybe resources are not available for that. And then what makes your product or service unique? So if you're opening a business that there are already other businesses out there, and let's look at a hair salon, because I use those as examples quite a bit. So if you're opening a hair salon, there are hundreds of other hair salons, hundreds out there that people could go to. So what makes them come to you? What is special about you? Are you specially trained by a product company, and so that therefore you think makes it you better than your competition? So what is it? And you have to be able to put that into words, right? Now, there's a great little story about a barbershop that had been in business for a long time, and they charged $12 for haircuts. And after a few years, they had a competitor move across the street and they charged $6 for haircuts. And so they were taking some of their business, and this existing business was like, what do I do? And so they put out a sign saying, we fix $6 haircuts, because they felt like they were better. You have to be able to point to something in your arsenal that makes you better. Next is, how will you monetize this? Now, this seems like an easy thing to answer, but it's not always, depending on your type of business. So, if you're selling a product, that's easy. You interact with a client, they pay you for whatever it is, you put it in a bag, hand them their receipt, and they walk out the door. That's an easy one, right? But sometimes it's a little more difficult than that. When I see people, there are people who are, apps are the big thing right now, right? So people are creating apps to maybe connect people. Well, who's paying for it? So, if you're doing an app for customers to connect with service providers, is a customer paying for that, or is a service provider paying for that? And what does that look like as profit for you? And then you have to determine what comes first, the customer or the service provider, because you basically have to get them on board at the same time. I'm sorry, I'm starting to lose my voice. And then you have to determine how you'll offer your product or service. Is it going to be online only? Is it subscription? Is this a one-shot deal, and you'll probably never see that person again? Or is this, you want them to keep coming back on a regular basis? That's going to help determine what kind of marketing that you provide. How will you charge for your product or service? Again, is it a subscription that you give them a discount if they, continue, like a gym membership? I mean, I think we all know, like, gym memberships, honestly, where they make their money is people sign up for the gym and then they never go. That's where they make their money, because if everyone signed up and showed up weekly, then the place would be overrun. So, that's how they're charging. That's how they're making their profit. And then what will you charge? Remember back when I said, how much is it going to take for you to leave your business, to leave your current job and to start a new business, right? And that directly translates into how many products or services you're selling. And so you have to determine, if you're a massage therapist, what are you going to charge for your time? You have to determine how long it's going to take you and what you will charge to make up your income for whatever you're leaving. Now, you certainly can't expect it to equal out at the beginning, but you also have to look at, well, I need to charge this. And if you have to charge $200 for a massage and nobody else in the area is charging more than $100, then you are going to have a rough way to go. So you have to determine what that price point looks like. And then the next part of this is, you have to determine who your customer is going to be. And it doesn't have to be set in stone. You're certainly not going to turn business away from people if it comes your way. But a lot of times it will depend on geography. There are certain businesses that people will not go drive across Phoenix for. So, when I look for a restaurant, I look for something close, unless it's super special. So geography will determine quite a bit of it. Demographics. So if you have got a high-end product, then your demographic is going to be somebody making over a certain amount of money who has expendable income. Harder and harder to find these days. But so you have to determine, really kind of dial down what you're looking for. When we owned our salon and when we were very successful, what our demographic was women aged 30 to 50 who made over $60,000 a year. Doesn't sound like much now, but back in the early 90s when we started, it was a lot of money. Those were successful people. And so we specifically targeted them. We specifically targeted their purchase behavior, which was getting a haircut and color every 4 weeks. And we would not let those people leave our salon without pre-booking their next appointment. Of course, they could always say no, but we always offered. And we got so booked up that our wait list was 6 months just for haircut. Then you have to determine who the end user is. And again, that's not always so cut and dried. Let's say you're offering a sports training camp for kids or a tutoring company. So the end user is the child, right? But they're not who's paying the bills. So you have to make that child happy. Some people will focus on whoever's paying for it, like the parents, and they have to be happy. But if that child says, I don't want to go back, and they're crying and they hate it, guess what? That parent you're going to lose that parent as well. So you have to be aware of who the end user is in your business plan. Another good option or another thing is like if you're selling things to businesses, if you're selling a product to another business to provide to their customers are also your customers. Their customers are the end user. So if they get a bunch of complaints about your product, then they're going to stop using you. So you have to keep that in mind. Your focus should be no more than 2 or 3 niches. And again, you're going to have other people come. When we targeted our demographic, you know what? Those women had husbands, they had children, they had friends. And so we basically had to adjust our service list so that we could pull those people in. So like originally we had not even intended to do children's haircuts. We did not want to do children's haircuts, but then so many people were saying, oh, I really want my child to have a haircut someplace great. So all of a sudden we were doing children's haircuts and we had to adjust our menu accordingly. So let's talk about marketing a little bit. Where will you find them? So once you've determined all those other things, you have to determine what channels your client looks at. Do they look at Facebook, YouTube, Instagram? What is that demographic looking at? Are they watching television? If they are watching television and you want to do advertising on television, which is surprisingly inexpensive these days. If you go the cable route, they can help you meet your specific demographic. They know what shows that demographic watches. And so you can do fairly inexpensive ads, but you have to know who you're trying to target. Google ads. Everybody uses the internet to find businesses these days. So, and it's not just Google, it's, whatever. But if you Google something, it's going to say the people who are running the ads is going to say promoted on there. And then after that, the ones that have the proper search engine optimization show up. So always the paid ads come up first. So you have to decide how much you're going to spend on that. How important is that for you? Are you going to have a massive referral marketing campaign where you're going to ask your satisfied customers to send in their friends and they get XYZ? Maybe they get a discount, maybe they get a free service, maybe they get entered into a drawing to win something big, right? So you have to determine that. Flyers are good depending on your business. So let's say you have a restaurant and in a strip center. And so those people are already coming to that strip center to get something, right? So maybe you hand out flyers to the people in that area. Maybe you put them on cars. It's kind of controversial. I don't want anybody touching my car. I don't know if that's even legal in the state of Arizona. I've only been here 2 years. But maybe you do it in one of those coupon packs, and those coupon packs can put your coupon or flyer only in a certain zip code, so that you know that the people who live in, I live in 85016. So they only go out to 85016. And again, you have to determine how much you're going to spend. Now, I will say that you think that once you hit a certain level, you won't have to spend money on marketing anymore. And that would be a false assumption. That's when, honestly, if you can afford it and your business is successful, that's when you can decide, well, now we're going to grow. Maybe I'm going to open the market up to the whole state instead of just the city I live in. Maybe you want to keep everybody's mind on your name, because remember those people I told you that were going to come gunning for you and opening a competing business? Those people are watching what you're doing, and those people are going to try to steal your customers. And so you want your name in the customer's mind all the time. Then you have to determine what you're going to say. Now, this is called content, your content marketing. What's the problem you're going to fix for them? There's always a problem. It might not seem like, when I think problem, it sounds like it's, oh, this is awful, but it might not be. It's like, maybe the problem is that they want to feel more beautiful. How's that going to fix their problem? Maybe they want to, maybe their problem is big. Maybe they have overflowing sewers. That's a big problem. So, what kind of problem are you fixing? How do you convey that in the marketing form that you chose? Pay attention to commercials. I am passionate about finding out what my competition is doing, right? So and it doesn't have to be a competition. It doesn't have to be a company that even does the same kind of things that your business does. I learn the most from watching what other businesses do. What emotions are you trying to elicit? And I'm going to give you my favorite example. It is the I've fallen and I can't get up. Now, that is fear marketing. But I will say that you say those words to anyone, pretty much anyone over 35 years old, and they're going to know exactly the commercial I'm talking about. But the emotion that they're trying to elicit in that is fear, right? So nobody wants to fall and be sitting there for days and not be able to get up. So they've done a great job. Their marketing campaign was brilliant. And then what is your value proposition? You have to be able to tell people in the medium that you chose what makes you better. And it can be, I always suggest doing funny ads because people remember those. But you also have to, have you ever watched a commercial and you don't really know what it was about? I've even watched Super Bowl commercials where they're paying millions of dollars to air this commercial. And at the end of the commercial, you really don't even know what they were selling. So you have to be able to do a good job of telling what it is you're selling, what's your value proposition, and why they should come to you. Now we're going to get started on the startup cost worksheet. I will say a lot of people come to us for funding. We do not provide funding. I'm just going to flat out say it. We did have one grant opportunity that has expired. So if you talk to someone and they say, oh, well, they do, we don't really. But what we can do is help you prepare. So if you find a grant opportunity that you want to pursue, we can help get your ducks in a row so that you can pursue it. If you find that you want to go to a bank, we can help you prepare for the best possible outcome of going to a bank. I will say that most entrepreneurs, because your business right now doesn't have a track record, it's not making any money. And so banks will want to see that they are not throwing money at an untested, unproven entity, right? So you're going to either have to come in with good personal credit, which I always say your credit score should be over 700. If you're starting a business, I'm not going to say that you can't get a loan if it's less than that, but I will say that over 700 greatly enhances your chances. But you may have to self-fund by saving your money. Maybe you cut your personal expenses and you save every penny that you can so that you have a nest egg to start your business. Credit cards are an option. Again, you have to have a decent credit score to be able to do that. Friends and family and home equity kind of go together. I will say we started our first business with my in-laws, basically getting a home equity line of credit and letting us use that money. I will say that is, number one, it's risky. They could have lost their home. In reality, also it made, gatherings awkward, because if we were doing something in our business that they didn't agree with, we would hear about it, and it caused some tension. I'm not going to lie. Retirement savings. Now, I am not going to tell you to pull your retirement savings out. I don't think that you should. But one option that you may have, and you'll have to determine this with those that hold your retirement accounts, is if they can lend you money based on those retirement accounts. So they take that as collateral. And then maybe starting smaller, again, starting smaller than anticipated. Maybe you just do it on weekends until you find out if that product or that service is really needed and how it's received. And that gives you an opportunity to learn as you go. And so maybe you present a product and it's not going over well in this area. So that gives you the opportunity, because you started smaller, you haven't made a huge investment, then maybe you pivot and maybe offer another product. Or then you decide, you know what, owning a business is not for me. Like I said, the bad news, I kind of did this slide backwards. The bad news is that you're probably not going to get a grant to start your business. Grants became talked about during COVID, and there were a lot of grants flying around mostly to keep existing businesses in business. There are grants out there, absolutely. The thing, though, is everyone's looking for them. And you may be one of 2,000 or 3,000 people who are applying for the same grant. So, you need to be aware of that, and do not don't put all your chicks in that basket. You're probably not going to qualify to get a loan to start your business based on the business credit, because your business doesn't have credit yet. So if you do go to the bank to get a loan, then they're going to immediately look at your credit. That's the only thing that they have to judge by. So again, you have to be spot on with your credit score. Your debt to income has to be in line. If you don't understand those terms, please visit your local banker. One of the best things that you can do, and again, I was a banker for 11 years. So one of the best things that you can do is get to know your banker in a positive way. Most people don't want to talk to them until something goes bad. But you know what? Show up, book a meeting, talk to them, say, this is what I'd like to do. Can you tell me what your qualifications are to get a loan? And if you make friends with them, if you're able to, if something goes wrong, or if they are at a bank where they have some influence over the underwriter, then you are in a much better position than if you go to some place that you don't do business, they don't know you, and you're just like, hey, I want a loan, and they're gonna be like, no. So just be aware of that. So your startup cost worksheet, this is another document that you have to return to your assigned counselor. You should imagine everything about your business the day you open. So that can look like a whole bunch of different things to different people. But what do you see? So if you're running a pool service, you probably are going to have a truck. You're going to have pool chemicals. You're probably going to have that truck wrapped. You're going to have skimmers and things like that. You're probably going to have a place to keep those things, either at your house or at a different location. So all of those expenses you need to write down. If you're opening a brick and mortar, which for those uninitiated in those terms, a brick and mortar is a physical location that your clients can go and visit. right? You probably don't want them showing up at your house. So if, let's say, you open a boutique that sells clothing, which is my dream personally. If you open that boutique, what does it look like? Stand outside. Does it have awnings? Do you have things in the windows? What do the windows look like? It can be as crazy as, what do the door, does the address numbers, what do they look like? You walk in, do you have a chime on the door? There's a cost with that. Do you have a security system? There's a cost with that. The flooring, the cash wrap, everything that your product is hanging on or sitting on. So start collecting those costs, right? It's Google is your friend. It's very easy. So start compiling that and be as descriptive as you can about what that's going to cost you. Now, I would highly suggest, instead of just putting numbers in those boxes, you also need to put in the notes what you've included in that and what you intend. And then we have ongoing cost, which is the funding needed to conduct your day-to-day operations. So that would include payroll, that would include buying additional product, that might include your fees to keep the security system going, your point of sale system that you probably rent, or they take a percentage of what you run through it. So those are all things that you need to look at. And then your final considerations are, honestly, consider a contingency plan for everything that you can think of. I will say that nobody saw COVID coming. Nobody saw it coming. And so, you have to be ready for those unseen things. And even if you don't want to think about a pandemic, let's say you're a service provider and let's say you're a plumber, but then you break your arm. What are you going to do then? You can't work for 6 weeks to 12 weeks. Maybe you had surgery. You can't do the work. So what are you going to do? You have to, decide, is it going to be, a healthy savings account? Is it going to be a line of credit? Are you going to bring people on that can do the work? I had a friend who he is the president of the National Chimney Sweep Association. He has been on the global level in their association. And when he started out, our kids were in school together. And back when he was in his early 30s, and he had just started this business, and it was just him. And he fell off a roof and he broke both of his legs. He could not work. He almost lost every single thing. And so right then he determined he was going to build the business that did not rely on him actually doing the work. He had options. All he had to do was get the business in the door, and then he assigned his people to it. So those are the things you have to think about when you're running a business. Are my family and I going to be happy with this business? Is this, it is all encompassing, and it will cut into your family time, and it will cut into your vacations, and you will be burnt out and stressed out. And is this going to damage your relationships? So really be honest with yourself about that. Am I really willing to commit all my efforts into making this a long-term success? You have to be in it to win it. And you have to, how we looked at starting our business, it was terrifying. Again, much like starting a family. If you knew everything that went into it, nobody would probably ever do it, right? Owning your business is the same way. But, we kind of went into our business by saying, we don't have a fallback. We're going to make this work. And you kind of have to do that. And then, can I handle the risk and constant uncertainty? Because there are going to be weeks where you don't have a phone call. You don't have somebody walking into your business. And then you start to think, how am I going to pay my rent? How am I going to feed my family? So these are all things that you really need to consider when you're starting your business. So before your first counseling session, by now you should have a clear idea of what is your product or service, who is your customer, what do you want to accomplish in this business, how much do you need for startup costs and initial operating capital. So your homework is your startup business plan and your startup cost worksheet. Both of those things need to be sent once done to your permanently assigned counselor. The Do You Have What It Takes worksheet is just for your benefit. Again, be honest with that. So most of you, we're transitioning to a different system with assigning clients. If you do not have your assigned counselor, then I will assign that as soon as I get off this webinar. If you already have it, and that will be in your initial email, and it will be about 3/4 of the way down, that's their contact information. They're waiting for you to send them the startup business plan, the startup cost worksheet, and the client expectation form that has to be signed. They cannot talk to you the first time without having that client expectation form signed. So those are the 3 documents that need to go back to your permanently assigned counselor. Please do not send them to me. So what happens now? Like I said, if you haven't already gotten a counselor, I will send you an introductory email. Your counselor will send you an email with an appointment booking link. So even if you already have an assigned counselor, once you send them those documents, they'll send you probably a booking link, or they'll reach out to book an appointment. You'll meet with your counselor, discuss the areas that you feel you struggle with. Now, one of the reasons that we have started this program is, most of the time that initial appointment is only 30 minutes, maybe an hour if you're lucky, if they have time. But so you want to be able to have a productive conversation right off the bat. This is an ongoing relationship. So feel free to reach out directly to your counselor whenever you have questions. It's always better via email. And that way they'll be able to track your questions, your responses. And know going in that we also, just to prove that we're doing our jobs, just so we can show our host organization and our funding organizations that we are helping small businesses grow, we will periodically send you a client growth assessment. So if we have a conversation with you and you say, hey, my sales have gone through the roof, we will ask you, how much through the roof are they? And then we will send you a client growth assessment saying their sales have increased by this much, or maybe you got a new loan from a bank. So we'll put in, they had a capital transaction and an infusion into their business of this much. So know that going in. We will send you those. They have to be signed and sent back to us. That helps us keep our job and the lights on here at the center. Now, we are going to open it up to questions. I see that there is one in the chat. Dwan, I think I said your name right. If you will send me an email, I will, because I'll forget the minute I get off of this, please send me an email and I will be happy to send those to you. So I'm going to give it another second for anyone to put their questions in the chat. So I don't generally send the recording, but I could. I see no reason why I can't. And I'll send you a PDF of the PowerPoint. Awesome. Thank you. Sorry, some of these are just to hosts and panelists. You can reply to everyone if you have a general question, because I imagine other people do. Again, this is my contact information. By far, the best way to reach me is via email, because I will leave every email open until I address it. So just know that, if I don't get to you that day, it sits in my open box until I respond to you. Here is a great list of resources. Take a picture of this if you'd like. The Arizona Commerce Authority, this one is special. This I do with some of my new clients who are just starting out. So you can go to the Arizona Commerce Authority, and you go to the I am ready to start my business in Arizona, and it takes you to a checklist, and you check off what type of business you plan on being, whether sole proprietor, an LLC, whatever. You check that off. Then you check off, I am selling things that I will need to collect sales tax for. You check that off. Maybe you're offering a service as well. You check that off. Then you check off the towns that you're doing business in. So you check those off. And once you're done, once you save that document, it gives you the live links so that you can just turn around and you can follow those live links to get those things done. Let's say you want to open a business in Chandler, and so you've already marked Chandler on your business checklist. It will give you the link to get your business license for Chandler if they need one. I don't have that memorized. So that's a really good tool for people. Arizona Business One Stop has, the state has tried to do something very similar. We don't like it quite as much, but it still has value. Phoenix Hub, a lot of people ask me about grants. Phoenix Hub is by far the most comprehensive grant page I have seen. They also offer counseling. Now, we are not stingy and say, no, you have to be with us. There are other organizations that do what we do. Some are free of charge. Phoenix Hub gives you, I think, 10 sessions free of charge. They can help you. Another good option is score.org. They are the Society of Retired Business Professionals, executives, and they will help you. Sometimes you're going to get conflicting advice. You are going to have to decide which one you want to follow, right? But just know going in that our resources, as long as you're putting in the work and as long as we see growth from you, then our relationship is definitely ongoing. If you don't respond to us after a couple times that we reach out, we do kind of put your file into snooze. We call it closing, but that's not really what we do. Your information sits there, and if you need to reach back out to us at some point, then feel free. But we always suggest you try to keep those lines of communication open so that you can get resolution to an emergency that you may have in real time. So that's all I've got. Let me see if there are any other questions. Okay, so someone asked, if we want to purchase a business, do we still need to fill out these forms for counseling? It wouldn't be a bad idea, especially because you are going to have a business plan. You're going to have startup costs, like know how much you need, know what you're getting into. But generally what we will do is we will put you with a counselor who specializes in commercial loans. And we have, I think, 3 ex-bankers, 4. We have 4 ex-bankers that work for us. So we have a wealth of knowledge on what it's going to take to get that business loan. So, again, it's probably not as important for you, especially if it's like a franchise, because the franchisees probably have a lot of this already figured out. They're going to tell you, this is how much you need. This is how much you need to have in cash reserves before we'll even talk to you. So that's a little easier. If it's an existing business, it's an independent business, and you're looking to buy it, we can help tell you what to look for. There are a lot of instances where you may want to buy a business and they may say, I think it's worth $1 million, but if you have a professional evaluation done on it, it's maybe only worth 400,000. So, I highly suggest you get that business valuation. But it's still a good idea because you need to know how much you're going to need like the first year just to even keep your doors open. A lot of people don't plan accordingly, and after 3 months, they're out of money and there's no way for them to get more. So you just need to know those things going in. Let's see. Yes, I will send the recording and send the send the PowerPoint PDF. And then somebody said that they were with a specific counselor, and yes, he is one of our experts. So on lending. So that's all I have. If anyone else does not have a question, expect to be hearing from me. If you don't already have a counselor, I will send out the PowerPoint PDF. And as soon as I receive notification that the recording is ready, I will go ahead and send that to you. So thank you, everyone. I really appreciate you, and I hope you have a fantastic day.